How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. Now, on today's show, we're going to take a look back at the games over the weekend. There was a win for Fulham, there was a draw for Aston Villa, and there was a win for Manchester United.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. That's right.
So, of course, it's Monday morning, which means we get to look back on the games over the weekend. And it's a bit of a different one. Bit of a mixed bag, bit unusual to normal because there was Premier League games and there was FA Cup games. Arsenal were not playing at the weekend. They were actually meant to play Chelsea, but they were in FA Cup action. And given the exertions of the Champions League game in midweek, I'm actually quite glad that we got this bit of an extra break. And of course, we do go into the international break now. The dreaded international break. Why on earth are we getting into the business end of the season and there's an international break? That's a story for another day. But anyway, there was a lot of games that had a lot of twists and turns. And we're going to go right back to Saturday. Let's start with the FA Cup games, first of all. Manchester City against Newcastle. I don't think anybody predicted anything other than a Man City win. And that's exactly what happened. Comfortable, 2-0. They're into the semi-finals. Big game, this one, in terms of the result and everything else. But Wolves losing at home to Coventry City. And I'll tell you something, watching this game, it was end to end. It was crazy. It was just like the final 10 minutes is just insane in terms of what it does. And it's, you know, you're going into that final 10 minutes. The score's 1-0 to Coventry and you're thinking, can they hold this out? And then by the end of the game, it's 3-2 to Coventry. And you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, how on earth has 4 goals just been scored in this period? And it's the way that they were scored. And Wolves equalised, defensive mistake. And you're thinking, right, they're back into the game. Probably go to extra time. Then they go and score just before the 90-minute mark. And you're like, it's done. They've turned it around. Coventry are out. It is what it is. And then Coventry equalised. And I think it must have been about the 95th minute or something when they equalised. And then you're at that point and you're going, right, we've got another 30 minutes of this extra time. And then I think it was like the 99th minute, they go and score a winner. And it was absolute scenes in the away ends. Absolutely mental. But what a win for them. Coventry City going back to Wembley, of course. They were there last year with a playoff final and heartbreak for them. So they might get an opportunity to right those wrongs. But that's a brilliant win for them. Superb. Fair play to them. Going into the Premier League games. Burnley 2-1 winners against Brentford. And this was a much needed 3 points for Burnley. Massive 3 points, in fact. And especially when you think that the other game in the Premier League over the weekend was Luton against Nottingham Forest. And it was a 1-1 draw. And again, Luton score late and get themselves a point. But in the grand scheme of things, Luton and Nottingham Forest, a point is not enough. And Burnley, they will cling on to this tiny little hope that they can get themselves out of it. I don't think they will, but listen, they won't go down without a fight, that's for sure. And then the big result of the weekend would have been Fulham 3, Tottenham 0. Only Tottenham can go to Aston Villa 1 week and win 4-0. And then the following week, when they got the opportunity of going into the top 4, lose 3-0 to Fulham. And it's exactly what Tottenham deserved. They didn't deserve anything from the game in any way, shape or form. They were dreadful. And the second half performance from Fulham, they were fully deserved of the scoreline and the result. And it's brilliant for them. And one little thing right at the end, when the game was already done at 3-0, there was an opportunity for Timo Werner. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. It was harder to miss than score. That was the Timo Werner I remember seeing at Chelsea all the time. But that is a poor result for Spurs. And yeah, listen, I suppose the only thing you can say is Spursy. That's what it is. Win one week, lose the next. Going into yesterday's games, one Premier League game. West Ham against Aston Villa. 1-1 draw. And again, so you go back to the Spurs game. It's a big opportunity missed for them because Villa dropped 2 points. The big talking point of this game was West Ham scored in injury time, thought they won the game. And then VAR overruled it. And it's not the fact that they overruled it. It was so difficult to see. But the fact that the decision took nearly 6 minutes to decide. That is far too long. Like, I understand that they want to try and come to the correct decision. But nearly 6 minutes. Like, that is ridiculous. And even then, it's still not conclusive. It's still not 100% where you're like, oh, I can see it. It's handball, but is it intent? Like, oh, it's crazy. It's just, I'm not even getting into the politics of it, but it's just, yeah, West Ham, I feel aggrieved, but at the same time, they'll understand it. It's just the length of time that it took. It shouldn't be taking nearly 6 minutes. You know, it's this whole clear and obvious thing. So if it's not clear and obvious and it's taking you over 5 minutes, you get it. Going to the FA Cup games, Chelsea against Leicester, 4-2 winners, Chelsea in this game, but that doesn't really paint the full picture of the game itself. Chelsea went into a 2-0 lead. Leicester, of course, they do have one eye on promotion back to the Premier League. But they got themselves back into this game 2-2. The first goal was a calamitous own goal. And then the turning point of the game really was when Chelsea thought they had a penalty. The Leicester defender got a yellow card because it's double jeopardy. It's made a genuine attempt to win the ball. A penalty is classed as sufficient. And that's just the way it is. VAR then got involved and confirmed that the foul was actually outside the box. So it wasn't a penalty, it was a free kick. But the flip side of that is that the yellow card was now changed to a red because there's no double jeopardy. If you foul outside the box, it's a professional foul. It stays as a professional foul. It's a red card. So where do you sit as a Leicester fan? Do you go with a penalty and have 11v11 and try and get another goal and get back into the game? Or you have this where they don't get a penalty, it's a free kick, but you're now down to 10 men. And the subsequent free kick from Raheem Sterling, mate, that is right up there with one of the worst free kicks I've ever seen in my life. If you've never seen it, Robert Hoof against Stoke City for Leicester. And that was hilarious. And even they were laughing at the time when he did that. It's right up there with that. It was calamitous. What on earth? He had an awful game, by the way. And the missed penalty from him as well and everything else. And yeah, it's not going great for Sterling at Chelsea. And yeah, he's getting quite a bit of stick from the Chelsea fans, that's for sure. But Chelsea, they were able, to get that third goal very late, and then the fourth, and kind of puts a gloss on the scoreline, but wasn't a great performance, to be quite honest. And then the big game of the FA Cup over the weekend was Manchester United against Liverpool, and this is just a mad game. But Manchester United were 4-3 winners. The defences in this game were absolutely dreadful. They were awful. It was just some shocking, naive, calamitous defending. And Manchester United, they started the game brilliantly. 15 minutes on the front foot, scored a goal. They looked really good. And then they went back into their shells, let Liverpool on, and within the blink of an eye, Liverpool 2-1 ahead. In the second half, Liverpool dominated. Manchester United looked absolutely toothless, looked clueless, didn't look like they, could find a way of scoring. And Liverpool will rue the chances that they missed. And yeah, Jurgen Klopp made some substitutes that seemed a little bit weird. You know, playing Mohamed Salah for 90 minutes on Thursday in a game that meant nothing because they'd already qualified. But then taking him off after 75 in this, like the game was already done. It just seemed weird. The game management wasn't right. And I understand that they got injuries and I understand that they've got, you know, to rotate and they've got a lot of games. But it goes back to the Thursday one. Why play players then? And some Liverpool fans have said that they were going to take Salah off, but they couldn't because of another injury. And I would have said, why did they play him anyway on Thursday? And why not save him for this? Look at the first leg score. They didn't need to play Salah at all on Thursday. You know, the game was even over more at half time. Why not take him off then? You've done 45. Job done. See you later. It just didn't make sense. So, Manchester United score, and it's Anthony that scores. Listen, doesn't justify anything. He's crap. He's an awful footballer. But listen, the shit guy scores every once in a while. And what's the saying? A broken clock is right at least twice a day. So doesn't mean he's any good. But we go into extra time. You're thinking to yourself, will this go to penalties? And then Liverpool score, go 3-2 ahead, and you're thinking, right, that's it, that should be done now. Going into the second half of extra time. And then Manchester United equalise. Rashford makes up for a few misses during the game. And then you're thinking, right, go to penalties. 120 minutes is literally 15 seconds away. And Liverpool have a corner. And it's some of the most naive and stupid defending I have ever seen. Leaving one man back is just insane. Absolutely insane. Ball drops on the edge of the box. Harvey Elliott is weak as piss and loses the ball. And all of a sudden, Manchester United have 2-on-1. And they score. And it's literally the last kick of the game. And then he goes and gets sent off as well because he takes his shirt off. And he's already on a yellow card. And I'm just like, how stupid can you get? You're already on a yellow. I get the emotional side of things and you get caught in it or whatever. But you know you're on a yellow. Don't take your shirt off. Like, I don't know what the ramifications of that are. I know he has a 1-game ban. But I'm not 100% certain whether FA Cup suspensions are for FA Cups only or whether it carries into the Premier League or whatnot. Because if it is, you know, you've sent off in the FA Cup, you serve your suspension in the FA Cup, then he's an idiot because he would now miss the semi-final. It's just stupidity. If it's that you miss a Premier League game, then I suppose that's absolutely fine because I don't think he's going to be involved in the next Premier League game or whatnot. But listen, it is what it is at the end of the day. Manchester United go through. The semi-final draw, Manchester United will be playing Coventry and Man City will be playing Chelsea. I think Manchester City are going to the final. And then I think the Coventry and Manchester United one, who knows? Honest to God, that's how it is now. That you just don't know. Coventry will feel like they can get to the final. That's how mad it is. So yeah, in terms of the Premier League games, what effect it had, on the Premier League table. Aston Villa, they stay in 4th place. They are 3 points ahead of Spurs. Spurs do have a game in hand, and they are 1 behind in terms of the goal difference. So very, very close for the top 4. Manchester United are back in 6th on 47 points. They're going to need to go some to try and get into those Champions League places. But 5th place could well be a Champions League place now. In terms of what happens at the bottom, Burnley, that win takes them on to 17 points. They are still 8 from safety. I don't think they're going to get out of that. It's too late. But it is what it is at the end of the day. Luton, they're on 22 points, only 3 points from safety. But, yeah, they would have needed to really win that game. But yeah, look, listen, it's been an eventful weekend. We now go into the boring crap international break. And then we get to come back next week. And the big one, of course, is Arsenal Man City. It's that simple. So, listen, there we go. That is it for today's DT's Daily. As usual, let me know in the comment section what you think about the topics. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button, smash a like on this video, and I will see you a lot soon. I'm out of here.